Hi there, and welcome to the Indie Pop Girl, the podcast where you'll find music chat, new releases, hidden gems, and nostalgic deep dives. I am back with another episode, and this week is the introduction to my new series, The Pop Girls. If you love pop with substance, then you are in the right place. I'm kicking things off with Melodrama, the pop masterpiece from Lorde. Melodrama is the second studio album by Lorde and was released on the 16th of June 2017 through Lorde, Republic Records and Universal. This was the follow-up to her debut Pure Heroine from 2013, and Melodrama was co-produced by Lorde with her regular collaborator Joel Little. There are also additional production duties from Jack Antonoff, Frank Dukes, Cook Harrell, Malay and Andrew Wyatt. Sonically, Melodrama is strikingly different from her debut, which leaned into a more minimalist production. Melodrama dabbles with synth pop, electronica with harsh electronic beats, and on the flip side, Lorde also experiments with piano ballads to balance out the synth-driven tracks. The record captures Lorde's experience with heartbreak during a house party, and she takes you through the journey of all the emotions possible in just over 40 minutes. Not 1 second or 1 minute is wasted on Melodrama. Lorde and her collaborators managed to pack in so much into the running time, and for a pop album that was released during 2017, it still stands the test of time and is highly regarded as one of the best pop albums of all time. I won't be covering in this episode how I discovered Lorde, so if you are curious and want to know more, please check out my previous episode covering her latest release, Virgin. But I will talk about how I discovered Melodrama to bring in some context before I start to discuss the tracks. I remember when I heard Green Light for the first time. I had started a new job back in January 2017, and we had the radio on in the office, and I think it was Capital FM when I heard Green Light. They played it quite a lot, and I remember thinking how unique it was sonically. It grabbed me instantly. I mean, how could you not like this song? I was still using iTunes during this period, and I remember when Liability dropped and I put both songs onto my iPod. But when Melodrama was released, it completely slipped through the net for me in 2017. I wasn't keeping track of new releases during 2016, as I was going through an extremely difficult period personally, as I lost my mum during October 2016. So I wasn't listening to music at all. Eventually, when I started to feel better in myself and I started my new job, I was able to start catching up on all of the music that I had missed. Because I was playing catch up, Melodrama passed me by, and I'd completely forgotten about it. So fast forward to 2020 during lockdown, and I found myself watching a lot of music reactions on YouTube, and Melodrama was a record that kept popping up, and it was a joy to be able to discover the record through the reactions, and I fell in love with it. I ended up listening to it during my own time, and I became obsessed by how it sounded. And when I started to collect vinyl records during the lockdown era, my husband got me a copy of Melodrama on vinyl for me as a gift, and I've lost count how many times I've played it or had it on in the car and in the background at home. It's just one of those classic albums that are timeless for a reason. It's an album that I revisit on a regular basis, and when I started my podcast, Melodrama was at the top of my list. But I wanted to make sure it was the right opportunity to discuss this record and to share the love with you all. I think many of you out there will be familiar with the record, but if you haven't experienced Melodrama before, then I hope the love will come across during this episode and that you will check it out. I guarantee that you won't be disappointed. I had the idea of the Pop Girl series not long ago. If you are a regular listener to the podcast, then you know that I try to cater to all tastes. I have concentrated quite a bit on the indie side recently, and I thought it would be nice to balance out the indie with some pop. I am drawn to the darker side of pop. It's just something that I naturally gravitate towards. Of course, I love fun pop too, but for this series I want to try and approach it from a different angle. Pop music shouldn't be dismissed because it's pop. And the records that I've picked for this series are pop records with substance. Intelligent pop music that is inspired and creative, and all by women who are trailblazers. From the songwriting, the vocals, playing instruments, even being in the production chair. But most of all, bringing the fierce in the pop world. I hope you'll enjoy the Pop Girl series, and let me know how you discovered Melodrama. Is it one of your favourite pop records? Leave it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I will not be playing clips of the songs, so if you are curious, then please support the artists I cover by streaming, downloading or buying physical copies. Thank you. Track 1, Green Light. What can I say about this track which hasn't been said already? A song so euphoric that it captures the heartbreak so fucking perfectly. You can feel the pain in Lorde's voice when she delivers the lines. She thinks you love the beach, you're such a damn liar. The unusual structure of the song, the way it morphs and changes as it progresses, is just genius. And this is what I love about Lorde so much. She just goes for it. She goes with her gut feeling and instinct. She isn't afraid to take risks and to step outside of the box. A song like this in someone else's hands could be a recipe for disaster, but you just have to trust Lorde's vision. And when it sounds like this, fucking hell, what a beast of a song this is. I know Jack Antonoff gets a lot of criticism for some of his production choices, but this track and record is proof how good he can be. The way how Green Light builds and explodes when the drums come in is so satisfying. It is the perfect way to start Melodrama, and there is something so healing in the song. Lorde takes you on the journey with her, and you think, how can the record get any better from here? But Melodrama is the gift that keeps on giving. Is Green Light one of the best pop songs ever made? Hell yes. Track 2, Sober. It's difficult picking out standouts on this record, but Sober is a track that I constantly return to. For a pop song, the production is on another level here. Lorde, Jack Antonoff and Belay have sprinkled something so addictive into Sober, and each time I listen to it, I discover something new. I just want to talk about Lorde's vocals on Sober. Her voice is more than a vehicle for lyrics here. It's treated like another instrument. She slides between hushed confessions, sharp bursts of rhythm, and soaring melodies, sometimes within the same line. She layers harmonies that feel like textures, almost percussive at times, building the track's nervous energy. She uses her full range across the song, deep, smoky lower notes, contrasted with breathy falsetto and piercing higher notes with her backing vocals. At points, a vocoder effect distorts her vocals, making them sound mechanical and eerie when she sings, "But what will we do when we're sober?" in the chorus. It's pure ear candy, And regular listeners will know I am a sucker for a vocoder. In here, it's subtle, but when it comes in, it's oh so satisfying. Sober captures the dizzying rush of a night where feelings are heightened by alcohol, possibly drugs and adrenaline. It's about wanting to hold on to the intoxicated magic of the moment while quietly fearing what happens once the night ends and clarity returns. And the production mirrors that dizzying rush. They throw everything at the wall here: synths, vocoder, horns, bongo drums, and even a tiger's roar that Jack Antonoff found looking through samples. If you have not heard Sober, then you're probably thinking, what a fucking hot mess. But trust me, all of the pieces go together and work in perfect harmony. The song is explored further in one of my favourite podcasts, Song Exploder. I highly recommend the Sober episode, and honestly, I could listen to Lorde talking about his songwriting all day long. She has got this calm, relaxing quality to her voice, and I love hearing the process of the song taking shape. Track 3, Homemade Dynamite. Homemade Dynamite is one of the most playful and explosive tracks on Melodrama. It's about the spark of connection that happens instantly, like a firework going off the moment you meet someone. The energy is reckless and fun, capturing the thrill of being young, messy, and a little bit dangerous. The production is tight and minimal at first, built on pulsing synths and sharp beats. Then it blossoms into bursts of layered sound, mirroring the dynamite imagery. The track feels both intimate and explosive, quiet verses that suddenly detonate into a bright, catchy chorus. I love the writing and imagery in verse 2. Lorde sings, "Might get your friend to drive, but he can hardly see. We'll end up painted on the road, red and chrome, all the broken glass sparkling. I guess we're partying." This verse describes a car crash that Lorde imagines by a friend who is intoxicated and shouldn't be driving in the first place. But we can still picture the scene with how descriptive Lorde is with her lyrics. And I just love her vocal delivery in this verse. I adore how she sings all the broken glass sparkling. It's funny because I don't picture the glass of the crashed car in this line. I picture broken champagne glasses, which ties into the partying theme of the record, and champagne glasses are mentioned later on in the record. Obviously, I can't talk about the song without Lorde's delivery in the post-chorus when she sings, "Now you know it's really gonna blow," and adds the sound of an explosion with her voice. It just adds a playful human edge to the sleek production. Her phrasing is relaxed and conversational in the verses, then surges with power and attitude in the chorus. The way she shifts between the understated, cool and eruptive intensity gives the song its electricity. Co-written with Swedish pop star Tuva Lu, Homemade Dynamite serves as the drug-fueled euphoria, but you just know that this feeling will come crashing down eventually. Track 4, The Louvre. This continues the narrative from the previous track, but here even the most ordinary moments feel monumental. It takes the heady rush of a new crush and blows it up into something larger than life, as if a private moment between the two people deserves to hang in a museum for the whole world to see. Well, as Lorde puts it, "But we're the greatest, they'll hang us in the Louvre, down the back, but who cares, still the Louvre." Only Lorde can make that comparison, saying that her new crush embodies art and deserves to be recognised in this way. I've thought a lot about the lyrical interpretation of the chorus through repeated listens over time, and I think Lorde is turning her own heartbeat into the song's rhythm. That image is so visceral. It's like her crush and infatuation is so powerful. It could be amplified through speakers, and she is telling the listener to feel what she is feeling. The repetition of boom mirrors the pounding pulse of being in love, or that feeling you have when you see that person. We have all been there and can relate to Lorde's emotions. When you fall head over heels, your heart pounds, that physical thud in your chest when you're consumed by someone. It's an amazing feeling. And by pairing it with the idea of making them all dance to it, she suggests that love isn't just private, it's a spectacle, something she wants the entire world to move along with. It's so relatable. When you are in love, you want the whole world to know. But here, Lorde has taken it up a notch and wants to hang their love in one of the greatest museums in the world. It's so powerful and profound that only Lorde can pull off with such style. The production in the chorus is mind-blowing. The way that Lorde's backing vocals are muffled and pan in and out, it's a production masterclass in every way. It's hazy and hypnotic, like Lorde's voice is coming from another room at the house party. It creates this immersive, swirling effect and then breaks into the outro. And what an outro it is. The guitar riff inspired by Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, and you can hear the similarities. It's probably one of my favourite outros of all time. It has brought me to tears many times. It's the combination of the dreamy atmospherics, the guitar and the synths that just speak to me. I live for moments like this, and again, for anybody who is critical of Jack Antonoff, just listen to the song because it is magic. Track 5, Liability. Liability is the album's moment of stillness, a stark, intimate ballad where Lorde strips everything back to just piano and voice. After the wild energy and dreamy textures of the earlier tracks, this song feels like stepping out of the party into silence, where the self-reflection finally catches up. The theme is one of isolation and insecurity. Lorde sings about feeling like she's too much for the people around her, too emotional, too intense, too complicated. It's the confession that even in moments of connection, she fears being left behind because her true self feels overwhelming to others. The production is deliberately minimal. You can hear Jack Antonoff at the start of the track telling Lorde to go for it. It gives me the feeling that Lorde and Jack possibly recorded Liability in either one take or a few takes with not much cleaning up involved. I think they deliberately left Liability in its rawest form. A slow, steady piano carries the melody, leaving space for the rawness of her vocal. That simplicity is the power of the song. Every pause, every note feels deliberate, allowing the vulnerability in her words to land without distraction. Her vocals are fragile yet controlled, full of aching emotion. She leans into the quieter edges of her range, almost conversational at times, as though she's letting us hear the thoughts she normally keeps hidden. Lorde closes the song in the outro with the lines, "They're gonna watch me disappear into the sun. You're all gonna watch me disappear into the sun," tells the listener that she is going to be okay in the end. She's going to ride into the sunset and leave all of the heartbreak behind. These lines also connect to Lorde's follow-up record, Solar Power, an album built around the imagery of the sun, warmth, freedom, escape, and renewal. That final line in Liability now feels like she was foreshadowing that transformation, leaving behind the intensity and heartbreak of Melodrama and transitioning into a new version of Lorde, basking in the sun instead of, in this track, leaving the party and crying in the taxi. Track 6, Hard Feelings, Loveless. This two-part journey in the record delivers its promise. It's placed perfectly in the track list, especially following on from the emotional gut punch of Liability. Hard Feelings sees Lorde describing the breakup and the painful process of letting go. She is reflective, remembers buying groceries with her ex and him dancing for her at a time when they were happier. Lorde's lyrics in the hard feeling section are so clever and well thought out. How she can pack in so many thoughts and emotions into the section is so impressive. Not only is she learning to let go, she's also making an effort of taking care of herself now she is alone. Usually a breakup can come with depression, not taking care of yourself properly, maybe skipping meals and being socially withdrawn. But Lorde tells us that she is lighting all the candles, cut flowers for all her rooms, and follows us up with, I care for myself the way I used to care about you. I picture Lorde in a moment of relaxation here, surrounded by fresh flowers and candles and probably taking a bath and making herself the priority. I would also say that all these moments that Lorde is alone and probably reminiscing about her ex, you can feel in the song that she is slowly letting go of this person, especially in the lyrics with, I'll start letting go of the little things till I'm so far away from you. And sonically, when the production starts to shift, when the Loveless section transitions, the structure of this song is so clever, and it's probably one of my favourites from the entire record. A song that captures the feelings of heartbreak so perfectly and mature, with stellar production. Loveless creeps in, and you can feel something sinister building with the electronic production. The "what is this tape? This is my favourite tape" line is sampled from a documentary about Paul Simon's Graceland record. Lorde confirmed that she took a lot of inspiration from Graceland into Melodrama, which I find really interesting. The two records are worlds apart sonically and lyrically, but somehow Lorde has managed to thread that inspiration into this song. Lorde also sampled the iconic Phil Collins drum fill from In the Air Tonight during the Loveless transition, and this completely blew my mind when I experienced this track for the first time. I was thinking, what the fuck is going on here? It's chaotic, messy, but at the same time, it all works so perfectly, and Jack Antonoff's production is really the icing on the cake here. This is probably some of his best production ever. That instrumental break in the hard feeling section with that scratchy synth sound blows my socks off. It's so abrasive, so industrial, and it doesn't belong in a pop record. The sound is something that Depeche Mode, Nine Inch Nails or Rammstein would thread into their production. I've never heard anything like it. Lorde really is a fucking genius, and David Bowie was not lying when he declared Lorde the future of music. And whoever decided it was a good idea to split this track on the vinyl just doesn't make any sense to me. And I hope Melodrama gets repressed in the future with the track as it should be. Track 7, Sober 2, Melodrama. Sober 2 Melodrama is the reflective counterpart to Sober, where the first track captured the dizzy rush of a night out. This reprise shows the aftermath, the quiet emptiness that lingers once the high is worn off. It's the end of the party, everyone has gone home, and Lorde is cleaning up the champagne glasses. The production is sweeping and theatrical, with grand strings, echoing drums, and a slow building sense of melancholy. It feels cinematic, but the production starts to shift before verse 2, and it becomes much darker. Lorde's vocals are completely different compared to Sober, and as the song progresses, she becomes more demanding, a more aggressive vocal delivery, especially when the trap beats come in, which is completely unexpected, by the way. As part of Melodrama, this track functions as a meta-commentary. It's not just about a night ending, but about the album's central theme, that love and heartbreak play out like a stage performance, with highs, lows, and an inevitable finale. Lorde's vocals on the refrain and outro are childlike, her higher register on display, which is layered to maximum effect. I love how Lorde experiments with her voice and her tones on this record, and she always sprinkles so much flavour into her production. And this record is something that gets even better with repeated listens. Track 8, Writer in the Dark. Writer in the Dark is one of the most haunting and personal songs on Melodrama. It's Lorde's acknowledgement of the power, and sometimes cruelty, that comes with being a songwriter. She confronts an ex-lover directly, admitting that even though the relationship is over, she'll immortalise it in her art. It's part heartbreak ballad, part warning. She can't be silenced because her pain will live on in her music. The production is stark but dramatic. Lorde and Jack strip away the production, and this track is all about the lyrics and Lorde's vocals, which take centre stage. Lorde's vocals here are extraordinary. She moves between tender intimacy and raw ferocity, using her full range to embody both vulnerability and defiance. The chorus is striking, her voice sharpens into a piercing, almost Kate Bush-like cry as she declares, "I am my mother's child. I'll love you till my breathing stops. I'll love you till you call the cops on me." I get chills every time I hear this. Does this happen for you guys too? I would love to know. The lyrics blend sincerity with a biting edge. She admits to the pain of being left behind, but reframes that pain as creative fuel. The act of writing becomes both a coping mechanism and a way of reclaiming power. The title itself, Writer in the Dark, captures the idea of an artist working alone at night, turning heartbreak into art that will outlast the fleeting relationship. Within Melodrama, this track is the raw confession after the theatrical highs and lows. It strips away the party metaphors and confronts the personal cost of heartbreak head on. It's Lorde at her most unguarded, yet also at her most commanding, showing how vulnerability and artistic strength can coexist. Track 9, Supercut. Sonically, Supercut feels like the sequel to Green Light. Both tracks are driven by that bright, pulsing piano that cuts through the production, giving them a euphoric, anthemic quality. The similarity creates a bookend effect across Melodrama. Green Light is the messy, euphoric beginning, the first explosion after heartbreak, while Supercut is the bittersweet reflection, looking back on the same story with clarity and ache. The shared piano tone ties them together like two halves of the same narrative arc. Supercut is one of the emotional peaks of Melodrama, a song that captures the way memory can romanticize a relationship long after it's ended. The title itself comes from the idea of a highlight reel, the flashes of joy, intimacy, and perfection that play back in your head, while the difficult parts blur into the background. Lyrically, Supercut is full of bittersweet imagery. She recalls the little details of a relationship, but acknowledges that what she remembers isn't the full truth. The supercut is beautiful but incomplete. The line, "In my head, I do everything right," captures the ache of rewriting the story in hindsight, clinging to an idealised version of love that never really existed. I love how the production pulls back during the refrain, and Lorde's vocals are raw and dry in the mix. It sounds like she is singing in the bathroom. It's an interesting decision, but it really works stripping back the upbeat instrumental, because you really feel the passion in Lorde's voice, especially when she screams before the production comes back in. In the extended fade out of Supercut, Lorde's vocals become muffled and distant, drifting into the background of the mix. It feels like the relationship she's been replaying throughout the song is finally dissolving, not just from her memory, but from her imagination too. The voice that once carried so much urgency and intensity now sounds ghostly, like an echo fading into silence. Track 10, Liability Reprise. Liability Reprise is a brief but crucial moment near the end of Melodrama, where the original Liability was stark and vulnerable, just Lorde and a piano, confessing her fear of being too much. The reprise reframes that feeling in a new light. It's shorter, dreamier, and more detached, like a fleeting afterthought rather than a heavy confession. The production and electronic beat reminded me sonically of Pure Heroin. It could be a clever throwback here, but it's minimally sparse and showcases Lorde's lower register to maximum effect. I love the use of the vocoder in the intro. It gives Lorde's voice a ghostly, robotic quality. I don't know about you guys, but when I hear this part, I think the use of the vocoder ties into the reprise's perspective shift. Where the original was painfully direct, the reprise is hazy and reflective, a memory rather than a confession. And then Lorde switches to her lower register in the outro. This is one of my favourite moments on the entire record. How she delivers, "But you're not what you thought you were," is spine-chilling. It really drives the message home, and then with adding "leave" right at the end of the song, you just know that Lorde has come to terms with the heartbreak and the end of the relationship. The party has definitely come to an end at this point in the record, and sets up the closer perfectly. Track 11, Perfect Places. What a great way to close out Melodrama. Perfect Places is a closing statement that ties together the album's themes of chaos, heartbreak, and self-discovery. It's Lorde at her most anthemic, asking big questions about youth, escape, and meaning, while admitting that none of it offers easy answers. One of the most striking lines for me in Perfect Places is, "I'm 19 and I'm on fire." On the surface, it captures the raw energy of youth, the feeling of being unstoppable, lit up by freedom, intensity, and possibility. But it also feels like a layered reference. The phrasing recalls Bruce Springsteen, who is a clear influence on Melodrama, particularly in the track The Louvre, which draws on Born to Run. His song I'm on Fire lurks in the background of the lyric, suggesting Lorde is tapping into that same imagery of desire and heat. At the same time, the line can be read as a very literal reflection of teenage hormones, that blur between lust, passion, and confusion in young adulthood. It echoes the playful bodily imagery in Hammer from Virgin, where Lorde sings, "There's a heat in the pavement, my mercury's raising, don't know if it's love or if it's ovulation." In both cases, she uses heat as a metaphor for the overwhelming, often uncontrollable intensity of growing up. As the final track, it leaves the listener with both a release and a question mark. After all the melodrama, the highs of infatuation, the chaos of the party, the sting of heartbreak, and the quiet reflection, we end on an anthem that celebrates the search itself. Perfect Places doesn't resolve the tension. Instead, it embraces it, showing that the beauty lies in the pursuit, even if perfection is always just out of reach. Lorde ends the song and the record with the lines, "All the nights spent off our faces, trying to find these perfect places. What the fuck are perfect places anyway? All the endless parties, the drugs, the alcohol, the meaningless sex indicates just a brief escapism of reality. When the party is over and the lights are on, you are left cleaning up the mess from the previous night. It's a stark reminder the perfect places are only temporary and that real life will kick in eventually. Perfect Places is the perfect way to close out a perfect record like Melodrama. Just like the addictive vices Lorde describes in the song, the record itself is like an addictive drug. A pop record like this just doesn't happen very often, and I regard Melodrama as not only one of the best pop albums ever made, but one of the greatest records of all time. Melodrama was met with nearly unanimous praise upon its 2017 release, earning its place as one of the most celebrated pop albums of the decade. The album holds a Metacritic score of 91 out of 100, with a mark of universal acclaim. It was praised for the songwriting and emotional depth, the production and sonic cohesion. Melodrama received a Grammy nomination for Album of the Year in 2018. This is just my opinion here, but Lorde was so robbed of that award. It was hailed as the critics' choice, bold, inventive, deeply emotional, and widely seen as one of the defining pop records of its era. Yet it lost out to Bruno Mars's 24 Karat Magic. While his record was undeniably fun and polished, and I am not knocking Bruno Mars here, he is talented and I have respect for him, but many felt Lorde's work had more artistic weight, emotional depth, and cultural impact. The album has since featured on numerous year-end and decade-end best-of lists. It's a record that is still talked about and will continue in years to come. The artwork and the legacy and the lasting impact of Melodrama is evidence that not only has it resonated with fans and the general public, but the critics also saw the strength and the maturity of the collection of songs. It's raw, deeply personal, relatable, and is a modern pop classic with outstanding production and vocals. Award or no award, Melodrama is the record that defined its generation, and for me, it's a pop masterpiece that I'll always return to. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Threads at The Indie Pop Girl. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could follow and share, as it helps other music lovers to find the show. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me at the Indie Pop Girl Podcast, and I'd be grateful if you could like and subscribe as I'm creating content, shorts and posting teasers for upcoming episodes. I've recently made the brave move to join TikTok and I'm working hard to create some good content for you. You can find me on TikTok at the Indie Pop Girl Podcast if you want to give me a follow. There is also a public Spotify playlist available, and I have added some of my favourite tracks from the artist and record covered on the podcast. This will be updated as the episodes drop, so if you are curious with any of the artists and albums that I have covered, please give it a listen, and who knows, you might find a new discovery. You can find me on Spotify at the Indie Pop Girl, and the playlist is called Favourite Tracks from Podcast Episodes. I'll be back very soon, and I'm going way back to 1999 with a throwback, and the episode ties into the vinyl reissue, which will be dropping on the same day, so I hope you can join me. Until then, I'm Rachel, the Indie Pop Girl. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.